Illinois Democratic leaders are being accused of weaponizing a Chicago cross-burning incident that shocked the city earlier this month. Governor J.B. Pritzker barely waited until the fire was out before blaming President Trump.
A cross was burned in Grant Park just the other day. The very symbol of the KKK and the alt-right. The fact that it even occurred at all speaks to what happens when the seeds of racism and fascism grow unchecked in our country.
One problem, Chicago prosecutors are handing Pritzker a reality check, saying the suspect, 21-year-old Merlin Liu, admitted to setting the cross on fire to, quote, send a message to the Trump administration. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson had an opportunity to respond to the suspect's confession, but he doubled down on race.
Well, look, I can't speak to his lack of or understanding of the gravity of what he is alleged of having done. And, you know, again, it's a painful reminder of how hatred towards Black Americans still permeates, you know, in our society.
One Illinois Republican lawmaker says don't be surprised if the president never gets an apology from J.B. Pritzker.
I'm not really surprised that J.B. Pritzker hasn't walked this back, hasn't apologized. I mean, let's face it, J.B. Pritzker has Trump derangement syndrome so bad that he just can't help but getting his nose over his skis all of the time.
Ari, not only did the Chicago mayor put out an X post, he doubled down on this. The question from the reporter, good on the reporter, was here's the new fact pattern, here's what the suspect actually said, and he doubled down on his inaccuracy.
And neither one of them is going to apologize. Pritzker will never apologize. Look, we live in an era now where the truth does not matter. It only matters who you're fighting against. Where do you stand? And if you are against Donald Trump is responsible for everything bad in America and around the world. So it doesn't matter what the facts are. It doesn't matter what the truth is. Just blame Trump. I don't know what's going to take for our society to shake this out of our system. Maybe it's a phase we're going through and we'll grow out of it. I don't think Pritzker grows out of anything, so he won't. But this is the sadness that I really lament in American life. What I hope that happens is if he runs for president, this is the type of thing that he will become known for. This will define his presidency. You can get away with this as a pundit. You can get away with this as a governor, a senator, or congressman. It's much harder to get away with when you try to do something at the presidential level because it starts to define just how wrong you are.
Indeed. And Rosanna, the facts are, this is what the suspect said, who was a college kid, by the way. My protest had nothing to do with race, nothing to do with gender.
And Governor Pritzker still did not apologize. He did not retract any words that he said. You know, in journalism, we have this saying, never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Well, you don't expect that from politicians. You expect them to be cautious. They don't have to be first. They don't have to be first on TV with something. They don't have to be first on social media with something. We expect them to be cautious. They're leaders. They need to unite the country, not, you know, make things worse. And Governor Pritzker, he's obviously having a grand old time. I can't see him going any further than where he is right now. I know that he has grander dreams of, you know, national office. But, I mean, this is a guy that obviously has Trump derangement, you know, syndrome, and he's going to get in the way of himself.
Yeah, Caroline, it reminds me so much of Jimmy Kimmel and Charlie Kirk and how this is what the left does. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, we all know what motivated Tyler Robinson. It's pretty clear. Kimmel said we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize the kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything but one of them.
Yeah, they can't fathom the possibility that maybe some of their own are peddling these noxious ideas and then taking violent action. You know, J.B. Pritzker jumped on this conclusion like it was deep dish pizza. The facts of the case hadn't even come out yet, and he already determined what the narrative was going to be before the facts of the case had even come out. And then once they did, like you said, he doubled down. But the reality is we have an epidemic of political violence in this country, and it mostly is fueled by the left. Just a quick aside, as a journalist, I attended the New York City production very recently of Luigi Mangione, the musical.
Wow.
This show was so popular and such a blockbuster, it originated in San Francisco, that they actually opened up 2 new showtimes. And when I tell you that the audience was not going for the funny factor because it was supposed to be a a satire ostensibly, they went to show solidarity with a vigilante who they deemed had a righteous cause, the righteous cause of gunning down a CEO in the crack of dawn in Midtown Manhattan. And so this is a unique leftist problem, and they have to reckon with it. And, you know, J.B. Pritzker, he prides himself on being this more run-of-the-mill establishmentarian of the Democratic Party, but when you peddle these falsehoods, you absolutely are encouraging more of the same.
Yeah, I will say that deep dish pizza sounds mighty good right now, Lisa.
The governor would agree.
Yeah, well, I think he's had enough. So, but the thing is, you know, these seeds of hate that he talks about, they're being planted by the left, and even more important than being planted, they're being manufactured by the left, and then it's leading to real violence. Look at the sequence of events here. You have the cross burner says that he did it because he hates President Trump and he's a threat to America, and then the next day after the event that this happens, Pritzker comes out and blames President Trump. Well, I wonder where the cross burner got the idea of thinking President Trump is some fascist and a threat to America. And then you go even beyond that. You can go back to the whole Russia hoax after President Trump was originally elected. It was a hit job by the FBI, by the way, but it took us 2 years, tens of millions of dollars for Mueller to come out and tell us that none of it was true. It was all bunk. Then you go to 2017 with the infamous Very Fine People hoax, where the media and the left conveniently left out, where President Trump explicitly condemned the neo-Nazis and the KKK. And we also find out that the SPLC, the Southern Policy or Poverty Law Center, maybe had a hand in stirring things up. Then the left went on and ran with that narrative. Joe Biden even launched his candidacy off of it in 2020. And then you go to even January 6th, where the media conveniently left out the fact where President Trump said peacefully and patriotically. So every step of the way, the left manufactures this hate, and then it leads to real violence, whether it's the attack on Republicans, the congressional baseball field attack in 2017, Charlie Kirk's assassination, the fire bombings of pregnancy centers, Teslas, the attacks on ICE facilities. The list goes on and on, unfortunately. But at the hand of all of this is the left planting these seeds, manufacturing these seeds of hate, and then it leads to real violence in the country.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.